Okay, it's May 21st, 2026, and this is the Committee of Conference of Senate and House Institutions and Corrections. We will have an updated spreadsheet, I believe, and we will have updated language. So let's start with that.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. For record, Scott Moore, Director of Fiscal Office. I have a spreadsheet. The only difference that's on this spreadsheet from the one you have in front of you is the $200,000 change in major maintenance. I'm happy to pass this out, or you can make a note on your spreadsheet. Entirely up to you.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. So just, I guess it's just a level of comfort to know that you have them.
The only difference is between this and what's in front of you is the 200,000 from line 1 moved down to line 37.
Okay.
But if anybody needs paper, I have it here, and it is posted. Tate, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Tate.
Thank you. So the public, so then let's move to language.
Sure.
Your impression.
That would be good.
Thank you.
John Gray, Legislative Council. Well, sure, in just a second. I've got a few options for you in dealing with the Wi-Fi line item.
So let me bring my committee.
Up to speed on the
Up to speed.
Wi-Fi.
Few of us met, I'm Conferee Smith. We're the Secretary of the Agency of Digital Services, and we have the Deputy Commissioner of the City, along with Neil Sumner from DOC, trying to figure out how we move forward with the Wi-Fi within DOC. There needs to be some benchmarks that need to be met, and then they can figure out what the outcome is going to be. That's basically it. And the two entities need to be on the same page. So our language is to accomplish that. There was some agreement on the two entities that the SDOC has done some of these items, or in the process of doing some of these items today. There's more than ADS has said they had contractors that they work with that can also help DOC, and it really clarifies the 750,000 in our spreadsheet for how they can be used. One thing that definitely came out, there's no installation of Wi-Fi that will be used. That 750 will be used for. It's all doing the background planning, and it is cash. So cash can be used for this. Spotted dollars might be a little different, but it is cash. So it can be used. So the language is to reflect that. And I have asked for any of the language, whatever we start working on and come to any agreement that I'm assuming it may not have been sent, or has it already been sent to ADS?
I sent to ADS.
And corrections.
I think they were copied on that email. Yes.
And Krista.
Yes. 1 second. I can confirm this.
Calendar. Because I want both of them.
Yeah, she was on the.
Okay, because I want us to both those entities, if when we get the language there, to look at and sign off. Because we want to get this process out.
So let me ask some questions. I wasn't able to be there because I was upstairs. So the 750,000 is not going to there. That's needed for design. And
It's not even really, it's more what is, I think if you go through the language, it will really clarify what it's for.
okay.
Because there's some benchmarks that need to be attained. And could be inventory, it could be access. DLC needs to do some of those. So at least what ADS says, we need to know the resources. Resources from DOC is not adequate to do all the work that DOC needs to do for the plan.
Okay.
But there was a list of about 5 or 6.
Yeah, so that's right.
Do you have a question? Comment? All right. I guess I'm really glad you had the meeting. I'm disappointed that the legislature had to push so hard, because this has been something that we've been talking about over a year, more than
In
a
your
year.
committee of IT.
Right. So, it's disappointing that it has taken this, but we are where we are, and
We got their attention.
good. So I guess we have to keep getting there. So hopefully the language will
Do something.
do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna set out two approaches. I'm gonna walk through approach two first. First one will actually make more sense after I've done that. So this is for your line item. 650K to DOC to work with ADS to develop a plan, set up install Wi-Fi, to develop a plan for providing compliant connectivity in state correctional facilities that, and these are the 5 outcomes that are identified in this morning's discussion. Modernizes processes and reduces reliance on paper, improves staff efficiency and addresses workforce challenges, such as staff retention, supports real-time data-driven operations, lays the foundation for future capabilities, such as wearable technology and mobile devices supporting operations, and ensures secure, compliant connectivity in key facility areas. So it's a plan provide this kind of technology that achieves a set of outcomes that the agency is seeking to do. These outcomes are set out in a document that I believe the agency has released. So that's what approach one does. It's a much simpler version, but you don't get to see all of the outcomes. So it's develop a plan for providing compliant connectivity in state correctional facilities that achieves all 5 outcomes outlined in the business transformation project recommendations report issued by the agency. So we would tie to this document that they have, and you wouldn't have that long list, but it's, preference.
I think because this is, and I'm not speaking for the other two companies here, just personally, in terms of knowing where we have been and trying to go with this, I think approach 2 is much better because you just really lay out the specifics so that either party cannot blame the other, that everyone's clear what needs to be addressed. So that's my own personal opinion that we go with the second approach. If other folks feel different, that's fine.
Well, I guess 2 questions. One is definitely for John Gray, which is you've used compliant connectivity in both. Is that a term of art that means something in particular?
So that was the request this morning, that Wi-Fi might not be especially capturing what's happening. So I don't install IT services, but my understanding is this is what it's being provided.
Can I assume that language came from ADS?
Yes, this was this morning's discussion. Was the request was to switch from Wi-Fi.
Did they give a less jargony definition of client connectivity?
I don't know it. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I'm happy to do some research into it.
Yeah, I think we should have something that's not clearly jargon, that is meant to perhaps obfuscate something, or if it's not be understood by most people. Because I think everyone was immediately thinking compliant connectivity. What is that? So
I wonder if network is another way to do, if you're trying to have something that's not specific to Wi-Fi, providing network connectivity.
Yeah. Well, I assume some of it's about security too, right? So it's sort of, location.
Right, and if you look at the last item here, ensure secure compliant connectivity in key facility areas. I mean, maybe
There's a clearly not synonymous then.
yeah,
the report is interesting because it's like, this seems to be part of a plan, right, to achieve a set of outcomes that could be facilitated by this, but they aren't necessarily the kinds of things you think of as inherent to providing sort of kind of technology. So you're saying provide this kind of thing, and then the agency has a particular set of goals that they wanted to achieve, and those are being linked together.
Yeah. Did you want to say, because I have some comments. You want to go first?
No, I mean, I'm just looking at it, listening to what you just said, John. I mean, one way you could potentially get there is by combining approach 1 and 2, where you basically say achieve the 5 outcomes and then list the 5 outcomes and conclude with the report, so that you have it all in there, and the report gives you might address Senator Plunkett's comment about what does that mean, because it's laid out in the report. So that could get us to an answer.
If that's an approach that people would like, it would be development plans. Yeah,
Well-
one more fragmented solution. On a roll. It'd be to develop a plan for providing. In-state correctional facilities that achieves the following 5 outcomes from the business transformation project recommendations reported by the agency. Modernized processes, et cetera.
Yeah, I just have some other comments. The compliant, there's multiple things that I expect they're thinking of that are going to need compliance. So that ought to be, detailed in compliance with what, right? I mean,
I think
there's
those are
different kinds of
terms-
standards, there's,
I think compliant connectivity is like a technical phrase.
yeah. So,
they go together.
Right.
They're not separate.
yeah, but there are different types of compliance, so I don't want us to go from terrible to, or actually non-existent and have to get a perfect system before we have any system. That's my concern with the 5 outcomes. I'd like them to be prioritized. I'm sorry I wasn't at the meeting. But there might be something that they can do more quickly, that would provide, safe connectivity to the individuals who are there, because this is more than just the inmates and the staff.
So the way I'm hearing you don't, I think the thing you said is you want this to happen
Yes.
quicker and you don't
Yes.
want,
Yes.
a set of idealistic goals sticking in the way. Or hinder the process for developing that. What if instead of achieves, you used it, so achieve, seeks to achieve, or like aims to achieve the following 5 outcomes from the business transformation recommendation report. I mean, the thing I would offer there is that it technically weakens what you're, but it makes sense that that's the goal that you're setting.
Well,
It weakens.
I want the,
Well, it means that they can meet the condition by developing a plan for providing compliant connectivity that just aims to achieve a particular.
no, I'm not saying, I want I want the end product to be what it should be. But we could do it incrementally, is what I'm saying. There might be something that they could do to get connectivity for the staff and the inmates. In the meantime, when, like,
So one thing I just talked about was that when DOC, Agency of Digital Services is working through this, they have some of these resources clear in terms of what they need to address you. They might be able to do the easy buildings first, which would go
yeah,
towards what
depending on how we talk
but
about.
they have to do all of this
Right.
first. And the thing I'm wondering, the way the language is drafted, it's really DOCs and the drivers seat on this to do all this.
That's true. Yeah,
It's not the Agency of Digital Services.
which I think maybe make more sense.
DOC is the driver because DOC has to work with
Mhm.
the agency, but it's DOC that needs to provide this plan. It's not-
I mean,
Well-
that's intuitive I mean, part of it's worded currently this way because the former amendment was to install the Wi-Fi, so it'd be natural that it would be the other way, but,
Well, what if you add it to the end? Combine those and at the end, it says, and begin implementation.
of the plan.
So we're creating the plan, we've laid out what has to be in the plan. And your
And
thought is, and then they need to actually execute or begin implementation of the plan.
prioritize the communication aspects, because it's gonna have things other than communication.
But my guess with that amount of money, they're gonna do what's easiest and quickest, because they don't have the money to do big things.
And the big,
Right.
right, and then the thinking was they would come back January,
With
With the big plan.
For the big plan.
which is gonna take a lot of money to institute a good place.
Right.
It's not gonna be a cheap process.
No, but they might be able to do things that start to get whatever they need to do ready for the big plan.
Yeah, and I guess, so what, the way I'm thinking is, we had a flood, if we had some sort of, national disaster, folks can put Wi-Fi in pretty fast. I know that our, prisons are, it's a completely different type of building, but there are ways to get things done quickly. And I wanna have them start thinking about that rather than the perfect system that might happen in 10 years. I mean, I'm exaggerating, 10 years, I hope. But they just need a sense of urgency.
I certainly agree about the sense of urgency. I think in an effort to represent what ADS had said in the meeting earlier today, there are probably two areas of difficulty. One is that you have these several different networks, all of which require different connections and a great deal of security. The other one is you're talking about several different processes, which is what they laid out on the slide. And so it isn't just providing a connection, it's trying to figure out how paper goes to electronic. It's trying to figure out how you do wearables and a lot of stuff. So I too want to light a fire. But the way that it was laid out a couple of hours ago makes sense to me why it would take time to be cautious and to figure out the processes you want to do.
Right. But we should be able to set the priorities. What comes first? Obviously, the plan will include everything. But the implementation,
So what we heard from ABS, they can't move forward on anything until they get some of this from DOC. That's what I saw.
And we did
Yeah,
hear from
yes,
DOC
and
that the pinch
before.
point is their view.
So ADS needs the plan from DOC.
Right, on these items.
To start working.
Okay.
So it's,
Cause
my only concern with it was the jargon.
Yeah.
Which is used later on with a specific purpose. So I think what Ryan suggested to me, this would be comfortable for me with what we're talking about is, to develop a plan for providing network connectivity. Everyone knows what that is. State correctional facilities, and then we've got our details, which includes the secure compliant connectivity, which is specific to the plan and that particular usage. And that gets what we want from this. We've talked before about having come and update joint justice. Okay, that's still there. So I think that probably, from my standpoint, that satisfies me with giving the more money that we have talked about and belief that we'll see that there's some progress before next session.
half of this conference, it's on joint justice,
Right.
but John won't have to staff this.
Put that elsewhere there, another club.
Yeah, I've added some new appropriations as well. For me. That's not true, just,
So are we changing compliant to be the network?
I like it.
that's good, yeah.
you get the pickup of compliant connectivity in the final. So here's what I have heard if I'm trying to incorporate everything. To the Department of Corrections to work with ADS, develop a plan for providing network connectivity in state correctional facilities that achieves the following outcomes outlined in the business transformation project recommendations report issued by the agency. List the 5 and begin implementation. So
Can we say prioritize communication?
where would you? Like in the lead-in, develop a plan for providing network connectivity that prioritizes.
I think you're at the end.
No, probably at the end to say what I just want them to know, which they probably do know, that it's a priority to be able to have folks communicate.
When you say the implementation, prioritizing
Sure,
communication.
Yes.
sounds great.
Yes.
I'm relying on you so much, Senator Fenton.
He's not carrying as much water. He's a brand new member. Thank.
I
Good, we'll take
Just
advantage
brand
of
new
that.
going in all these different directions.
think we should give you more credit. I appreciate it.
Wait till next year.
I have faith in you. Thank you. Okay, so
That works for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can do those things. And obviously I'll need to make the update here for the reporting so fine. But this is your report, just some limited changes here. This will be updated to network connectivity, but formally this morning we talked about having the CIO of digital services as the kind of the sole spokesperson, and that they would work in consultation with BGS and Department of Corrections. The request that we heard this morning was for both to be at the table, Commissioner of Corrections and the CIO of Digital Services, to report to Joint Legislative Justice Oversights at each scheduled meeting on the plans for providing network connectivity and state correctional facility.
Okay.
So makes sense, so folks.
Yeah.
So I can make those updates, which is great. The other thing is I do have, and I do have a form of a conference committee report if you would like to see that. Obviously, I would need to make this update, and I would still love to be able to. Scott has checked my work, I think, like 3 times, but I would also, I've been putting together my own spreadsheet that tallies up all the numbers.
Which will check me too.
Which would, so if we have time, I would love to do that. If you don't, I totally understand. And I can just make the changes we just talked about and plot them. So you guys' preference as to how you'd like to.
Well, we have one other issue. I mean, we have one other. I don't just want to talk about, we did work on the language on 110
Yes.
State Street. And there, and in looking at the intent, we're fine with the intent language. But in looking at it for receiving information, it stated that the General Assembly would receive timely notice. It would be more the chairs of the 2 committees, because that's where this is your language on 110 that we gave us this one. It's the intent language.
The intent for 110 was at the end.
We have the language this morning.
You have,
Yeah, and I can pull it this morning. Just like a hopefully that's coming up. Yes.
That section, the intent of the General Assembly. And then on the top of page 4, it goes that the General Assembly would receive these updates. It's really the 2 changes.
oh, I see.
It's
Yeah,
really that we're the ones
the updates to the negotiation. Yes,
Yeah,
that
we're the
should be the
ones.
teacher.
that really need to have. And then we wanted to sort of expand the scope of this to just say more the sale of the property. We want timely notice of updates about the sale of the property, which increases more the scope of information that we would get. For this, instead of the negotiation process to ensure the disposition, as we want to know more about the sale, updates on the sale of the property. That's the concept we were talking about this morning, because I think it gives us as chairs a little bit more information.
Right. Yes, I agree. It doesn't, and it shouldn't be the General Assembly, but, I would like the negotiation as well as the sale. To the extent that we're able to
I
get
think-
it.
I think that brings us, yeah, that brings us right back to where we
Well-
were. It might be more of a legal issue because there's still in negotiations for that contract, which is what we talked about last night or last evening, which was problematic. So we were thinking if we could expand that to include the scope of this, expand the scope to talk about the sale. Where are we in updates in terms of sale.
Yeah, there are things that they can tell us. Something not being public record doesn't mean that it's illegal to look at it, for one thing. I mean, that does happen, but that's not what I'm proposing. But, updates on the negotiations, that could be things like, oh, we have 4 entities who are,
I think
but
if they get bids back from an RFP, I just want clarity. Can you indicate you've got 3 bids back, 4 bids back?
I can indicate that we have received 4 bids. I cannot tell you the amount, who they're from, where they are, or what it's about. I can say today, we received 4 bids. I shared with you on the Women's Correctional, we received 1 bid and within it, there were 2 properties. That is my limit. And, so.
yeah, and that's fine, and that's still valuable.
So that's what you're looking for to figure out the RFP. We'd be
Well-
notified of the RFP. We will see the RFP.
I think that you're missing, negotiation to me occurs after the bids have been received. So what this is missing is the information you were looking for, which is the advertisement or whatever that stipulates the various
Yeah,
It's in
elements.
there.
It's in another section.
Okay, it's in a different section.
This is, so just to call it, this is just intent
Did you
language in
know-
any event. But the outright documents that you would receive are under 2, which is the RFP and the executed contract.
Right, so if you're setting the overall term, objective, still to me, negotiation is limited to the part after the bids are received and where your comment of using the word sale would encompass the entire process, which is what you're able to do.
Interesting.
It's how I would interpret it.
To me, the sale is the end of the process. But it is,
Sale is
But,
is the advertising, the whole process.
we could just say just take out negotiation to say process, if you timely notice of updates to the process or of the process.
The negotiation process is an issue, but those are not public negotiations.
Right.
So they can't notify us because it's not public, public.
Well, they can notify us when they're at certain times, at certain, like, oh, now we're talking with people, now, so that we know that it's continuing. We expect to have a sale,
So you want status updates on our
Status update.
negotiations?
or just of the process in general. So the first part of the process, I guess, actually, this is the first part of the process. But, the advertisement and that kind of notice.
That's already.
So,
Yeah, so maybe,
so
We're talking about intent language.
yeah, maybe we don't
To
need
tell
to have,
anyone to do anything.
yeah.
Right.
This
Just
is
our-
like what we want.
this is the framing
Yeah.
for thinking about this. Following the commissioner's lead here, I mean, one way to do this would be, and that the chairs of the committees of jurisdictions receive timely status updates on the disposition of the property.
That's perfect, because that could be negotiation, it could be sale, it could be all kinds of stuff.
And that,
Yeah.
that makes sense and yes.
Does that work for?
Can you repeat that?
Timely notice of status updates on the disposition of the property.
And that will be clear language that carries forward in case all of us in this room aren't here. Or some of us aren't here. That's not a notice. That's just so you know.
I was gonna say all of them.
Yeah. Where's the answer?
Well, you don't know.
We need that second floor.
Well, you are right. So that sounds good.
Okay.
The other concern that we really have. The right of first refusal. On the sale, and it's rough. Yeah, we have 2 concerns. We don't know if this is really legal to do this, number 1. And number 2, are we really setting a precedent? Because in my time here, I don't ever remember putting in that stipulation. And you know, it could be a situation where maybe there is, a family that bought property. Possibly keeping it up, taking care of it. And the members are getting older, they want to sell it to one of their children, they want to sell it to a grandchild or something. And, then they would have to, you know, the state would have right of first refusal on something like that. We just have a lot of concern that this is really setting up precedent that from now on, whenever there's any state property for sale, it could be written in that, well, when that property sells and then it goes up on the market again, the state will have the right of first refusal. It's new territory that we've never been that down. So we might have that language removed because it's just the whole can of worms.
Okay, so did you, are you saying something?
Oh, I mean, I don't have much, I think this is really a policy dispute for you guys to resolve. I just wonder if having the inclusion of the covenants themselves helps address some of the concerns that you're hoping to address through having the right of first refusal.
Okay.
But-
Thank you. So the way I'm looking at it is, the covenants are helpful. And I would hope that we would do covenants this way whenever we sell a historically significant building. I think that's critical. Because this is in the Capitol complex, I would actually want to do this with other buildings that we sell in the Capitol complex, because this is a really important site, the whole site. And so I think it wouldn't be something that I would ever advocate for, or never say never. I would doubt that I would advocate for something like this outside of the Capitol complex, because that this is a particular site that is really important to the state, obviously. But that's why I think the right of first refusal is helpful in this situation. And so with the example of the family, they would, I mean, they could probably deed it to the family. I mean, if it's in the family, they don't even, and we can talk about that with real estate, but, I am fine to do it at a certain time limit. It's 10 years that we talked about. I think we did, or 20 years, but, I think that's, a time limit, makes sense. We don't want someone flipping this building.
I just want to make sure I understand the position. It sounded like you started talking about the covenants and then went into right of first refusal. Are those tied?
No, they're different. What, Ledge Council had mentioned the, covenants.
Yes,
And the covenants are important.
but as two separate voices, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right. And so so any historic building that the state, or historic property should have covenants on it, in my opinion, before we sell it.
Yep.
But then this building is especially important because it's part of the complex. And so that's why I think it should have the state ought to be able to be, to buy it if the person is gonna sell it.
And then the flipping, I'm familiar with it just like from TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's the concern there? What's the worry about?
Just that someone would, buy it and then, to change it and,
The covenants would prevent that, would they not?
hopefully, covenants aren't perfect.
I know.
I mean, people can, not comply with covenants and then we have to sue them. I mean, the enforcement of that is challenging.
Okay.
But those governments stay with the bill.
Right,
So even
Right,
if
that's-
they do flip it, it may not be as easy to flip it.
right, right.
Well, we have part of it. We're okay with everything else, for 110.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a problem with that piece. Because it is problematic, and it will bring
It will bring a veto.
it will
That's
bring a veto. That's what we've heard.
that's interesting. Do you have an idea why?
Well, we could go to the office and ask,
All right, well, let's,
but
we
I
need to finish this. We need to conclude today. That's
we need to
our
come
goal.
today.
So if we come back in half an hour,
I have an important meeting at 2, but I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, so I have between now and 2.
okay, well, we
That's
do a lot.
pertaining to this bill, change something totally different.
When would your meeting be finished? Could we meet here at 3? Could this,
So what's gonna happen in between it?
you and I are gonna go talk to folks before 2?
Together,
Yes,
we can go see what we can find from now and 2.
yes. But then we'll meet at 3. Or, oh,
Well, you're
are you
tired.
suggesting it might be?
Yeah. Would that conversation be done relatively quickly and then come back before the?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, possibly.
I'm going right upstairs
Yeah.
right now.
If we can wait here and see if
Yeah.
you guys come back and then,
Yep.
I don't want to rush anything.
Yeah, no, I expect it'll be.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we are